and welcome to Oneapp Academy's very first podcast. In this show, we will unlock the secrets to building a successful career in the ever-evolving world of tech and computing. So I'm your host, Abby, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this journey. In this very first episode, we're diving deep into the exciting field of Oracle ERP consulting. And if you've ever wondered what it takes to break into this profession, the key skills you need to thrive, or how to navigate your path to success, then you are in the right place. So we'll talk about the role of an ERP consultant, and we'll share some tips on how to start your career, and also hear some insights from myself, who is a seasoned expert in the field. So whether you're new to tech, looking for a career change, or just curious about ERP consulting, then you are in the right place. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's jump into the world of Oracle ERP consulting. So welcome to Oneapp Academy's podcast. Let's get started. So just to introduce me and just tell you a little bit about myself. So like I said, my name is Abby, and I have been working in the Oracle consulting field for nearly 20 years. So it's a considerable amount of time. It's flown, it's gone so quickly, but in that time I've gained lots of insight into the world or the journey itself. And obviously during this podcast we're going to be focusing on, how to become an Oracle consultant. So, obviously I went down that path myself, and I am familiar with, the different options, the different paths that you can take in order to ensure that you become successful. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, understanding the role of an ERP consultant. So as I said, I've worked with Oracle for nearly 2 decades, and I've been very fortunate to be able to deliver some quite complex projects across different parts of the world. And my journey was one of those journeys where you just kind of jump into something because, it looks exciting and it looks like something that could really become a good career. So an Oracle Cloud functional consultant, so what is that? What does that term mean? So this type of consultant focuses on the Oracle Cloud applications like ERP, you've got HCM, you've got SCM, and then you've got some development sides as well. The typical responsibilities will include looking at business requirements, looking at design solutions, and also configuring Oracle and supporting implementations. So I find that the typical skills that you need if you are choosing to go down that path will be a really good understanding of business process. This is key to ERP because this is what ERP is based on within its foundations. It's looking at the finance business function, supply chain, HR, and so on. So if you're not too sure, which path you want to go down, then it's a good idea to think about, what type of business function you are more interested in. Is it CRM? Is it manufacturing? Is it finance? So if you've worked in those fields before and gained some experience, then that's vital. So that's a really good way to start. My background is finance and accounting. So I qualified as an accountant very early on in my career. And we just happened to implement Oracle. And this was the organization that I was working for as a consultant. So at that time, it just made a good choice to get further into the Oracle world and just learn about it more. So, yeah, like I said, just work out which business function you want and then try to focus on that path in terms of getting certified. And I'll talk a little bit more about the certification side a bit later. Problem solving and analytical skills is, again, another key aspect of becoming an ERP functional consultant. In a lot of cases, there are going to be lots of issues. There's going to be some functional issues relating to the application and how it works. There's going to be maybe some questions from the organizations that are using Oracle, just wanting to know how to use Oracle to meet their objectives. And sometimes it's difficult to get things to work, in the way that you expect. So having the ability to think through problems logically is number one. You don't need to be good at maths, you don't need to be good at coding, but you need to be good at just working things out, just coming to a logical conclusion. And I say this because when I've hired staff in the past to work for my teams, this is a very key, desirable, feature, or I guess quality that I prefer for people to have. Communication as well is important. When you are working in the field as a consultant, one of the things that you find is that you're communicating with people from different groups, people who have different levels of understanding of Oracle. So, for example, if you're working with a technical team, because you want to, hand over some work which is no longer functional, but you need a technical resource, then you need to be able to communicate how, the functional feature integrates with, the technical side. So, having that ability to talk in not just a functional language, but in some technical language, then that's a massive advantage. So I talked about building a strong foundation in business process. So this is something that I just wanted to highlight a little bit more. So within Oracle, there are mainly 3 different ERP applications. So you've got ERP, you've got HCM, and you also have SCM as well. So within ERP, we tend to focus on areas like finance, procurement, and project management. And then within HCM, you have payroll, recruitment, employee lifecycle. And then within SCM, which is supply chain management, we have areas such as inventory, manufacturing, and logistics, order management. So these areas tend to cross over sometimes. So you find that sometimes an ERP consultant may have to understand HCM because they need to set up employees and make sure employees have the right information in order to carry out their duties within ERP. And also with supply chain, there are some impacts on procurement, from a receipting or cost management perspective. So there are those 3 different pillars. So you've got ERP, SCM, and HCM. Like I said, there is some crossover. So it's always helpful to be comfortable with that, to be comfortable with not just learning and focusing on your area, but also not being too afraid of just, crossing those boundaries and, learning about some of the other pillars, just in case there is that interconnection between what you're focusing on and, the need to bring in some expertise or understanding from elsewhere. So the other area is about cloud basics and just the importance of understanding cloud. So when I first started my role as an Oracle consultant, we didn't have cloud. I mean, cloud existed, but Oracle wasn't in the cloud at the time. And it was the on-premises e-business suite application that we supported. And now, obviously, things have changed. We have lots of different concepts. You've got SaaS, software as a service. You've got infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. And it's just understanding those key components of cloud, studying the products, the services, the architecture, and also the role of cloud in digital transformation. How we can, improve costs or reduce costs for organizations by getting them in the cloud, understanding not just the benefits, but the downsides as well, loss of control over certain aspects of security and data. So there are some good points and bad points, but it's just understanding them to the point that you can communicate to the customer clearly. So the other item I wanted to talk about was Oracle certifications. So why is it important to be certified, or do you need to be certified? Now, the way I look at it is, if you're doing a professional job, so you're providing a professional service, whether it's IT, whether it's, more of a hands-on job, for example, an accounting job or a physical job, it's always important to have some experience, number one. It's important to have skills. And where do you get those skills from? How do you have skills to support the information that you already know? So I find that certifications really help to build a really good foundation. You don't necessarily need to be certified. You don't have to, go and study towards an Oracle certification. However, it looks a hell of a lot better on your CV. And the other important aspect I find for myself is that it really solidifies the knowledge that I already had. Because you're never going to know everything. You're never going to become an expert. When you get to a certain level, you might be called an expert by people, but the reality is that you're not. You're never going to know the whole implementation guide or user guide inside and out. I mean, you could learn it, but the reality is that you don't have the capacity or the time. So you have to get to a point where, when you're speaking to the customer, you're able to deliver your knowledge in a way that's clear, in a way that is, just giving the customer the information that they need, without having to go away and research. When I first started my career, I did that a lot. I would be sat with a customer in a room, and they would say, well, does Oracle do this or does Oracle do that? And sometimes I'll be able to get the answer right. So sometimes I wouldn't know. And the worst thing that you can do as a consultant is say to the customer that yes, you can do something, and then you find out later on actually no, you can't. It just doesn't look very professional, and you have to the important thing is to build trust. That's number one. So going back to the certifications, so this is what they provide. This is how you can benefit your career with a certification. What they do is they help to fill in the gaps. So when you sit down and you go through that process of learning the features, and you're learning the benefits, you're understanding how the application pulls together, how it's configured, where to go to do the configuration, the specific names of the configuration tasks. When you get down to that level, then you can safely say that you are a, not expert, but a specialist, because you know a hell of a lot more than the customer. You know more than a junior consultant. And as you get further up the ranks, from junior to senior or even to principal, then what you find is that the higher up you go, the more specialist you are. So I am considered, or I have been working as a principal consultant. And as a principal consultant, I am expected to know, lots of great detail about the application that I support. And I do, and I'm confident about that. I'm confident about what I say and how I deliver a solution. And I talk about solution because, there is a role as a solution architect, from a functional perspective. And a functional solution architect is someone that can sit in front of the customer, take on board their requirements, and give them a solution that works, without having to go away and map it all out and research it. So everything is all mapped out in your brain. You know how it all pulls together, and having a certification as well as experience is what really supports that. So I would definitely recommend getting an entry-level certificate. So you've got the implementation courses. You have the associate level courses. for functional roles, and they can absolutely help. From a financials perspective, you have the Financials Business Process Certified Foundations Associate Certificate, and that's excellent at helping you to understand the end-to-end life cycle for the different pillars within ERP. So, for example, invoice to cash, procure to pay. So all of those different life cycles are covered by that certification, and it's not too strenuous either compared to the implementation specialist certifications, which are important. I mean, those certifications are what you would do after the associate entry-level ones. And like I said, they kind of help you to understand those important details, from a consulting perspective. So, once you get the associate's certificates, then definitely go over to the implementation specialist roles and, have a go. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was hands-on experience. So I can't highlight this enough. This is just number one. Having somebody talk at you and, being sat down in a classroom is one thing, but going into the environment and using simulations or going into a practice environment, going into a sandbox and practicing, how to change a theme, for the application is important. So, if you can somehow gain access to the Oracle demo instances, then that's a vital, area there that you can cover in your journey to becoming an Oracle consultant. So hands-on experience is number one. Also, if you're working within the field, then working on projects is important. One of the things that you find is that when you apply for roles as an Oracle consultant, then what you're asked to provide is experience of working on end-to-end projects. So you don't need to have experience covering all Oracle applications, but at least one, whether you are supported by a senior consultant or, whether you have, owned an application and implemented it yourself, then that's also important. So, if you can, find out if there is an opportunity to work on a project and it's an end-to-end project, so you're seeing it right from the requirements gathering phase to building a solution, to implementing it, testing it, going live, doing the post-live support, then that will give you almost, I would say, 90% of the knowledge that you need in order to build on your journey. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was another important thing, which was basically networking. So the Oracle world is generally quite small, and I think this is the case for most other ERP applications. We tend to know each other. We tend to see each other quite often at different events, and it's the same faces kind of go between one project to the other. So if you're starting out, I would definitely recommend building a network. So obviously you've got networking sites like LinkedIn. But within the Oracle community, we have user groups. So depending on which area or which organizations you support, there's a user group for most types of organizations or industries. There's online communities as well, which is great, because obviously in this world, networking is not just in person, but it's online, and it works. It does benefit the consultant in so many ways. So Oracle have different sites that you can use. There's the Cloud Customer Connect site, which is vital for not just networking, but building skills. There's also events as well that you can join or attend. So you have the Oracle Open World event that happens once a year. And that helps you to network with not just professionals, but also other companies or other companies that are within the same industry as you. And I find these are really useful for learning about how they use Oracle, and if you are maybe working on a project and you're stuck on a solution, then it really helps to transfer knowledge, so you can help them or they can help you. So no one's really competing, it's just really about working together. And like I said, just keep engaging online. So there's lots of forums, LinkedIn groups. Oracle provides some additional resources for forums as well. So yeah, just keep your ears to the ground. Just keep speaking to people, and finding out what's going on. And yeah, that should at least get you started. So yeah, I think that probably summarises the approach and all of the things that are useful to know in order to start your journey to become an Oracle consultant. So we are Oneapp Academy. So we are a online course specialist for Oracle Cloud, mostly focusing on ERP. You can see our website there, oneappacademy.com. So if you're interested in building your skills for ERP courses, then feel free to come along and just have a look and see what courses we have. And I'm sure you'll be able to find a course that suits you and helps you to start your journey to becoming an Oracle consultant. So thanks for your time, and I will end it there. And hopefully I'll hear from some of you soon.